All right, here's a rundown of everything I did to the Made in Mexico Strat Rehab project. Starting from the top, I snugged down all the tuners, a little bit of lubrication, added a second string tree. Both of these string trees have bushings that lift them up off the headstock. The back one is custom ground, so it's just slightly lower to keep the angle nice. I took the neck off, straightened the neck, flattened the frets, recrowned them, dressed the edges, polished, cleaned the fretboard, oiled the fretboard, put in a new bone nut to size, slotted and everything, reinstalled strings, reset the truss rod to proper relief, cleaned out the neck pocket, re-drilled neck holes through the body, slightly bigger so the screws would pass through, reset the neck under string tension so it is rock solid in the body. If I keep on going down, I ground down the saddle height adjust screws so they no longer scratch your hand when you're playing down here, redid all the action height, set the intonation. I blocked the bridge. I installed a steel tremolo block, a steel sustain block, but I also blocked the bridge with a hardwood walnut wedge glued into the body here. Could be removed, but for now it's blocked with a piece of hardwood. Has one spring installed under fairly low tension, so that's a decked, blocked bridge now. I relieved the strap button slightly into the body so that it sits in nicer. I like that better. And then we got the electronics. So that's 3 brand new Tex-Mex pickups. They have the pole pieces custom radiused. The bridge has a steel custom base plate installed and grounded. The pickup and control cavity is shielded in copper tape. I wanted to use my chalkboard for a little bit, one more time, because I want to go over my wiring strategy I wanted to use here. To me, the standard Strat wiring is kind of funny. You have that weird 5-way switch that has those in-between positions. They send the neck in the middle to the tone and not the bridge. You miss some good combinations like bridge and neck together. So here's what I came up with. I really think this is a very versatile, very meaningful way to go with the Strat wiring. So you get your 3 single coils. For me, this is a Tex-Mex set. So you got 3 single coil pickups there. Obviously they're grounded. You take the last tab of the volume pot back and you ground that as well. And so let's see, I bring those into a typical 5-way switch. There are some really cool switches that have separate poles on them and other cool things you can do, but it is a typical Strat switch. What I do differently is usually the second side of the switch is wired to 2 different tone knobs. I don't do that. I take the output of the switch, and the output of the switch goes right into the volume knob only, onto this tab. The middle tab is the output of the volume knob, and then the last tab grounds it when you have it down to 0. So the middle tab is the output. I run the tone, master tone, off the output. That is what they call 50s wired. Although you can also, on the Gibsons, when it had 2 different volumes and 2 tones, I think they set it up a little differently. This is a very basic 50s wired master tone. I think it works really nicely. It's my preferred way for a variety of guitars now. So the output of the volume is here. That goes straight into the tone pot then, middle. This gets left open, and this goes to a capacitor which is grounded. I used 0.015 microfarads. You could use a 0.02, 0.04. I forget. There's several in there you can use. I went with a slightly smaller one. there's a lot of different options for capacitors. They might matter a lot, they might not matter much. It depends on how you use your tone control. It depends on how bright your guitar is, or how bright your amp is, or how dark they are, and all kinds of things. But I tend to like something about like that is where I would usually start. So 50s wiring, I think that's a cool thing. So basically the output comes off of either of these tabs then. I wired off the volume, but you could actually wire off either tab. That goes out to your jack. The jack is also grounded. The shielding is grounded, et cetera, et cetera. So one other thing I did then, I put a push-pull pot in the third position. The potentiometer is not wired up, but the push-pull is my neck-on switch. Neck on, or because I'm a Pink Floyd fan, I'll call it a Gilmore switch. What that'll do then is it directly sends the neck pickup to the output also. No, not the output. It sends the neck pickup to the output of the 5-way switch. I'm sorry. Or you could send it on to the switch part, the switch leg, or the pot leg, either way. But basically what that does then is when you pull up on the on switch, it's going to run that plus this pickup, or that plus the other two pickups. If you're in the neck position anyway, flipping this on makes no difference. If you're in the second position from neck, it makes no difference. But it will add it in those other positions there. So that's my very versatile Strat wiring scheme. I have some other schemes that are way more complicated, using blender knob and other series, parallel configurations and all. But this is what I went with for the Strat Rehab made in Mexico Strat Project that I'm wrapping up here. So I just thought I'd share all that. The nice thing about this is, other than the push-pull, this is all stock Strat stuff that you can work off of and make this happen. You don't have to have that value of a cap. You don't have to use 280K pots. I custom made those to be 280, 275, 280. But a 250 or whatever you have, you can make this work with any pretty typical Strat setup. And then all you need is one switch to make this happen if you want that. Take that out of the mix though, and this is still very versatile with a master 50s wired tone. It puts a tone in the bridge control. All right, so I'm back in the guest room studio here for one last go around with Strat Rehab. That's the Made in Mexico Stratocaster that has been my project for the last month. I went through all the modifications it had there. The one thing I forgot that I still haven't done is it still needs to have the output jack rewired. I snugged it down and fiddled with it, but it still gets a little scratchy, so I have to be careful with it. But I'll hit that this weekend. After everything else, that's a small thing. So where I wanted this to all end was a little bit of playing. That's where it started, that's where it ends. I can say this, whatever this sounds like, I haven't had my DAW fired up in a while, but I'm going to do all the same stuff. I have my audio interface set up where it was a month ago. My DAW will have the same amp and cab simulator running, same settings, same relatively transparent overdrive. And I can say this guitar feels and plays great. I'm not a fan of the little vintage size frets. But other than that, and I would like to put 10.5 strings on instead of 10s. But it's a lot of fun to play. It's like having a new guitar. And, well, I guess I should just get on down to it. I'm going to try. I'll see how the video goes. I might A-B the old tone versus the new tone. Honestly, I really don't know if you'll hear a difference. I can certainly feel a difference in how it plays. Plugged into my amp, I had it plugged into both my an old Fender Blackface Champ and also an old, but not as old, JCM 800 combo. Running through both of those guys, I can say it sounds great through those amps. Sounds better than it sounded a month ago. But I don't know how that'll come across on YouTube with a, I certainly feel like it sounds great though. It sounds as good as any Strat, in my opinion. I mean, Strats are like wine tasting, people find different things they like, but that's up to the individual. So I like this guy a lot. So let's see, we should have some tones on the neck pickup first. Fairly clean. Bridge pickup. The nice thing is now along with the bridge, you have bridge and neck. I think that's a nice tone for an overdrive. So I think it sounds pretty good. Pretty happy with it. Feels great. I'm looking forward to listening back to the audio and seeing what it all sounds like. But I guess that's Strat Rehab. Over and out.